Mrs. Cutler again.
God, not first thing in the morning. Why does this woman keep badgering me?
She says you keep making feeble excuses for not speaking to her.
Of course they're feeble. She's never off the phone long enough for me to think up a good one.
Who is she, anyway?
Oh, she's a friend of one of my patients who thinks that no one should go under the knife until the surgeon has been vetted, grilled, and stamped on the back of the neck with her personal seal of approval.
I could say you're too busy to come to the phone.
Busy? No, we did busy days ago. I'm supposed to be dead. Hello, mortuary.
Morning, sister.
Morning. Mr. Hope Wynne,
Yeah.
is something upsetting you?
Well, the truth is, I lost a patient yesterday afternoon.
I'm sorry.
I know it shouldn't affect me like this after all my years in the business, but it's still quite a shock to the system.
Yes.
That man was one of the wealthiest private patients on my books.
That's an awful thing to say about someone who's just died.
My dear woman, he hasn't died. He's switched to the National Health Service. I mean, do you realise I could now stare down his throat for 6 hours and he wouldn't owe me a brass farthing?
Yes, I understand that BB is a close, very close friend. I'm sure that you and BB have been bosom buddies since before the Battle of Bannockburn. But basically, unfortunately, excuse me, is there someone there who could place a hand over your mouth while I... No, I am afraid a brief private chat is completely out of the question. Fine, thank you.
What time's she coming?
10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Jonathan's moving into your place.
Look at you, he is swivelling round like a couple of parabolic antennae.
I'm just trying to show some enthusiasm, that's all. Because one of us is sitting there with a face like a boiled trout.
I'm delighted.
A lying boiled trout.
I don't know what's going on. He never asked me if he could move in.
Well, how do you know he is moving in?
Joyce, he's brought his Hoover. It's not funny.
Michael says our diatherm is up the creek,
Oh.
so we've got to wait till they fetch one in from Theatre 6. What's the joke?
Nothing.
Oh.
Do you or don't you want him to move in?
Well, I'd just like to be consulted, not left to draw my own conclusions when he drags a tumble dryer up the front doorstep.
You haven't answered my question.
Yes, I'd like him to move in.
Good. Then let me make a suggestion.
What?
Well, my Hoover is now on its last legs. I've tried getting it mended, but they just say it's so old they can't get the parts. Also, it's got a hole in its dust bag.
Dust bag.
So, in a way, it's an advantage that it doesn't work, because when it does, it just sprays dust all around the room.
Oh.
Anyway, if you've got two perfectly good Hoovers...
Yes, why don't you stop round this evening with your horse and cart?
I'd just like first refusal, that's all. Now, you said something about a tumble dryer.
Rag and bone,
Sheila!
rag and bone.
Sheila!
Daniel? Would you mind if Jonathan moved in here?
Shift up, Dan.
Who's turned the telly off? No, I wouldn't mind. Why don't you ring him up and tell him to come round?
Look, Jonathan, I think we should have a chat about the future. We can't go on like this. Daniel doesn't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on.
I know what's going on some of the time.
I have no objection to you staying the night from time to time.
So?
Someone who stays the night normally brings a toothbrush, not a box of adjustable spanners, cricket bat, and a pair of rubber fishing waders.
Mind you, I knew this this girl once.
Daniel!
All right. I get the picture.
No, well, let me finish.
No! Sheila, you've done some naff things in your time, but never naffer than this. Have you any idea how embarrassing it is for me to be asked to leave this house in front of your son? Also, Inspector Morse is on in 10 minutes. No, you've made me squirm. I'm going to make you squirm.
Oh, I shouldn't count any chickens.
I'll go. But I just want to say this first. You have now shown yourself to be the most callous, selfish, rabbit-brained female on the face of this planet.
Good. By the way, I'm not asking you to move out. I'm asking you to move in. Feel free to squirm any way you like.
I'll have to think it over.
Why?
Well, don't want to rush into things, do we?
Oh.
I mean, we might decide we want to all go and live in my house. Look, with a lick of paint, that place could look like...
The Magnolia Hole of Calcutta.
OK, I'll move in with you two.
Oh.
As long as you don't mind.
Oh, it's all right with me. If anyone can smell sweaty socks, I won't be the only suspect. There is one thing. What do I say if Dad rings up?
Oh, anything you like. I normally tell him he's on hold and then whistle the theme tune from Cats till he hangs up.
He might ask about Jonathan.
Daniel, your father is no longer my husband. It is no business of his if I want to cohabit with a battalion of Gordon Highlanders. Anyway, I want everyone to know that Jonathan's moving in. Get the door, Daniel. Oh. Hello? No, look, can I call you back later? I've got someone here. No, it's just a friend. Sally.
Sally?
Yes, look, I'll call you back as soon as I can. Bye. Would you like an individual ham and tuna fish pizza?
Who was that?
I've got some salad. It's gone a bit limp, but I could spray it with some hair lacquer.
I would like to know why my name has suddenly changed to Sally.
Because when I said I wanted everyone to know that you're moving in here, I didn't mean that I wanted everyone to know. What the...
Well, it seems all right.
Yes, but you can't always tell. Listen, I've brought a little bag of dirt with me. So if I just sprinkle it around...
Strange. Every time I asked her who was on the phone, she changed the subject.
Yes. Well, my advice in this case is not to jump to any wild conclusions. There's bound to be a simple explanation. And I'm sure it's nothing to do with Sheila having another man on the go.
I didn't say it was.
Well, that's good. Because in your position, I'd be very suspicious.
Excuse me.
I'm busy.
I'd like to know why there's a man with a paintbrush in my consulting room.
Well, I expect he's painting it. Unless it's a man with a paintbrush up his nose, in which case he's probably a patient.
I did not ask for that room to be decorated.
George, come on. When was the last time it was done?
Last Thursday.
Well, they made a mistake. We asked for white and they painted all the consulting rooms pink, which I thought was quite nice. But Mr. Copeland said it was like sitting in a pig's bladder. So, being a very good administrator, I got straight on the phone and ordered them to come back and repaint the whole lot at their expense.
White?
Don't you argue with me, I said. Get in that van.
Joyce.
I don't care if you are in the middle of grouting a slaughterhouse.
Joyce, did you remind them they were supposed to be doing it white?
I clearly said we weren't happy with the pink.
Would anyone care to know why I am wearing these sunglasses? I am wearing these sunglasses because I have just been in my consulting room.
Oh, my God.
What colour is that exactly?
No idea, old boy. My wife has a swimming costume of similar hue, which explains why she's never been stung by a jellyfish.
Ask them to leave your room alone because you said you didn't mind the pink. So all they have to do now is paint the rooms that should have been painted white. But they can't do that until the wrong colour they've just painted them dries off. In fact, it's worse than that, because apparently they have to finish painting them the wrong colour, otherwise when they paint them white it'll look patchy. Apart from which they haven't got any white paint.
My God, and they say we only need to muzzle Rottweilers.
I'm just explaining because Mr. Copeland's got to see some woman who's been pestering him, and he'll have to use your consulting room.
I'm not having that mincing mugwump in my consulting room.
He doesn't mince.
Of course he does. He's the biggest heterosexual queen since Catherine the Great.
It's all right, you can use it. wish you wouldn't keep giving me problems.
It's not fair.
What?
Everyone knows I've been saving up for a Hoover.
Oh, no, I'm not having this.
The Bible says people who've got lots of stuff should give it to people who haven't got anything.
No, I think that's Karl Marx.
Oh? Well, I expect that's where he got it from.
The Bible says that people who covet material things will never get to heaven.
Oh.
Mind you, it's not specific about vacuum cleaners.
Look, Sheila's my best friend, so naturally, when she said she had a spare Hoover,
Joyce swarmed round with a swag bag.
Well, I'm sorry. But I'm sure there's something written in some very important book somewhere that says I've been stitched up something rotten.
Oh, God, what a fuss.
Oh, she's not the only one a bit tetchy this morning. You realise Jonathan thinks you've got another boyfriend?
Why?
Oh, I don't know, something about a phone call. You know how men get these stupid ideas.
I know how Jonathan gets them, yes. Look, that was not another man on the phone. That was not even a man.
I can't think why you're telling me. I couldn't care less who it was.
That was just someone who mustn't know that Jonathan's moving in.
Well, of course, if you want to tell me.
Hello, it's all right.
No, it is not all right. I have to know now.
In here, Mrs. Cutler.
Now, before we start, I'd like to thank you for giving me a moment of your time. However, I shan't, because we both know I had to badger you non-stop for 6 days.
Mrs. Cutler, I am rather pressed for time.
Nonsense. Winston Churchill wrote the history of the English-speaking peoples, led this country through a world war, and still found time to paint pictures. What have you done this morning, except poke a wet flannel in both ears? Now, about Bibi.
Yes, Mrs. Phipps, I have her file here. Now, it seems she's only coming in to have a cyst removed.
Yes, just about there. And she's rather worried that it might leave a scar.
Well, perhaps a small one.
No, I've told her there won't be one.
I see. Well, of course, cutting it out is only the traditional method. I dare say a trained ferret could be sent in via the nasal cavity. Of course, we'd have to boil it for 3 hours in a sterilizer.
When a plastic surgeon carries out a facelift, he does not leave scars.
He does not leave visible scars.
Good. In which case, Bibi would like hers hidden under a small tree in Hyde Park.
Mrs. Cutler, I shall mention all of this to the person doing the operation.
I assumed you were doing the operation.
No. I am simply the consultant in charge of the case.
So what do? Drag someone in off the street and say, there you are, poke around in that?
No.
Mr. Copeland, Bibi Phipps is an old and very dear friend of mine. And the senile baggage has a lump on her head like the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral.
I think you'll find my registrar is very competent.
I don't care if your registrar can eat soup on a pogo stick. If you're the lump expert, I want you in there knee-deep in a pool of perspiration.
I refuse to stand here and be harangued like this.
You will stand there and be harangued like this till I choose to harangue slightly differently.
What Joyce says, that was not another...
What on earth is the matter?
Hello, dear.
Jonathan, I'd like you to meet my mother.
Come to apologise
Oh?
about the Hoover business. I've been talking to Michael and he says I'm being selfish.
Michael said that?
Well, I'm young. I can still get down on my hands and knees with a dustpan and brush.
So can I.
I'm always the same when I set my heart on
I mean, there
something.
might be the odd click now and again.
It never occurred to me that you might need it more than I
It's
do.
not even a click, really. It's barely audible to someone in the
Think,
next
because,
room.
well, really, you don't look that old.
I don't look that old because I'm not.
I'm not a mean person. I always give to age concern. Anyway, I hope we can be friends now.
How'd it go?
I bet we've got a Hoover by tomorrow morning.
She practically ordered me to do her friend's operation. Me, a consultant surgeon, removing an inconsequential little cyst.
Absolutely outrageous. So when are you going to do it?
10 o'clock Friday morning. Well, I couldn't see any reason to argue with her.
Good Lord, no. I've always said it's far better to allow oneself to be stamped mercilessly into the ground.
She's almost as bad as her daughter. Oh, by the way, George... Could I ask you a rather delicate question?
Yes, go on.
Yes. As you know, I have something of an artistic streak, paint pictures, that sort of thing.
Yes?
Well, have you ever noticed that I mince at all?
Mince what?
No, not mince. Mince.
My dear fellow, you're married.
Well, quite.
I can't think why you said that.
What?
Well, your mother phones up and you say I'm someone called Sally, and then when we finally get to meet, you introduce me as Jonathan, your lodger.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realise you liked being Sally so much.
She knows I'm not your lodger. Why don't you just tell her the truth?
Because you don't know my mother.
Oh, come on.
Jonathan, that woman drove my father into an early grave, and what's more, he was pleased to get there. If he'd been up to it, he would have driven the hearse. You can't imagine what she's like. She's pushy, she insults people, she doesn't give a damn about what she says, and what's that look supposed to mean?
Nothing. I'm just not having as much trouble imagining this as you seem to think.
All I want to do is to live my own life with no interference from her.
You can't ignore your own mother.
A brick wall could not ignore my mother. All I want to do is keep her at arm's length and out of my way.
Well, I think that's wrong. Look, both my parents are dead. And when they disappeared, one after the other, I spent months thinking, they'll never see me get married. They won't be around anymore at Christmas. The one thing that makes me feel good is that when they were alive, I included them in everything.
My mother saw me get married. We had to stop twice because she was heckling the priest.
I don't believe that.
Well, you can ask yourself. She's coming round tonight.
What, you agreed to that?
Only in the same way that Britain agreed to be pillaged by the Vikings.
It's funny.
What?
It never occurred to me that you'd have a mother. Not like ordinary people.
I haven't got a mother like ordinary people. I've got a mother like Lady Macbeth.
I'll go. Look, she's only coming for a meal.
No, she isn't. She's coming to look you over, pick holes in everything, and polish off a truckload of booze. And she'll do all three before I've microwaved the soup.
Mother! Sheila, wish you wouldn't wear your hair like that. You look like a cottage loaf.
You've met Jonathan.
Mrs.
Yes.
Cutler?
Good. I'm glad you don't kiss. If I want my cheeks sandpapered, I'll go to a cabinet maker. Well, this boy's grown since I was last asked round.
Yes, I expect so.
Mind you, he was wearing a romper suit then.
Would you like a drink?
Is the Pope Catholic?
Yes. Thank you. Have you got whiskey?
Yep.
Irish?
Yep.
I only drink Scotch.
Oh, that's all right. We knew you were coming. So we've got Scotch, Irish, Welsh, Brazilian, Dutch, Zimbabwean.
Well, in that case, I'll have Scotch and ginger ale.
We haven't got ginger ale.
It's all right. All right. No panic. I'll go thirsty.
You will not go thirsty. Jonathan and I have just cleaned out an off licence so that you will not go thirsty. I've got rum, brandy, eggnog, wincarnis.
Oh. Well, since you've gone to so much trouble, I'll have a lemonade.
You don't drink lemonade.
Sheila.
She has never drunk soft drinks in her life. If it isn't potent enough to rot her dentures, then she won't touch it.
I do not wear dentures.
Of course you do. You left your real teeth in Dad's neck.
Sheila! I think we've got some lemonade in the fridge. Excuse us.
I thought you'd been packed off to some private school in the country.
That's all finished now. I'm just waiting for my A-level results.
You'll do well. If there's one thing your father had, it was brains. That and a libido the size of Bury St. Edmunds.
I've got that too.
You're letting her get you worked up.
No, I'm perfectly calm. We're going to have a pleasant meal, a chat, and behave like a civilized family. And if she mucks it up, I shall shove her head first into the moulinex.
Daft. Look, just imagine she's some aggressive old drunk.
I don't have to. In half an hour, she will be.
The best way to handle someone like that is to be nice, because when you are nice to someone, it's almost impossible for them not to be nice back after a while.
Jonathan, after a while, they are sitting on your head playing space hoppers.
She's not that bad. I bet you in a couple of hours we'll all be good friends.
Oh.
Yes. Well, I think we solved the lemonade problem.
So, you're going to be living in sin with my daughter?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say
Because
that.
it's none of my business. But I do think it's a seedy atmosphere in which to bring up a child.
Him?
My grandson is still a very impressionable young man.
Your grandson knows more about seedy atmospheres than anybody I know. He's got magazines under his bed that have been banned in Holland.
By the way, you've still got one of those.
He's probably in it.
Excuse me, I'll just go and check whether the lemonade's ready.
What's that?
You're dead right. If I'd have stayed in there one more second, I'd have killed that vicious ratbag.
Watch this and learn. Right, 1 lemonade. Now, before I dish up the meal, is there anything you'd like me to rush out and buy when you decide you don't like Brussels sprouts?
Might I ask what we're having?
Beef.
Brussels sprouts are fine.
Oh, good, thank you.
It's beef I can't stomach.
It's all right, I lied about the beef. We're having lamb.
Ah, well, in which case I'd rather not have the sprouts.
I lied about the sprouts as well. We're having carrots.
I wouldn't have any cabbage.
You don't like cabbage.
Sheila, no.
You know very well I like my lamb with cabbage.
It wouldn't surprise me if you liked your lamb covered in wool and jumping about on a plate.
And it wouldn't surprise me if that's the way you plan on serving it.
I don't mind cabbage.
We're not having cabbage. We're not having marrow, we're not having broad beans, runner beans, mange tout, shallots or yams. We are having carrots.
Why are you doing this?
What's that?
You know what? She was at work at 7:30 this morning. Then she raced back here, dumped her briefcase and shot off at the supermarket. Then she shot back here, dumped the food and raced off up the off-licence. All to make you a decent meal and get you happily sloshed. She's swept and cleaned this place with a hoover that beats and deodorizes but doesn't suck. Even he's had a wash.
I always wash.
She's been slogging away for hours, and what do? You stride in, don't like this, don't like that. You criticise everyone. You pick arguments. Do you know, I was really looking forward to a good chat with you, but now I can see you're just a mean, ungrateful, awkward old biddy.
What do you think?
I think he might actually last the course. Do you speak to my daughter like that?
Well,
Oh, he does. He's really good.
excuse me, is there something you ought to be telling me?
Yes. I've decided I don't have to stop for the meal.
Why?
Jonathan, I am not an easy woman to live with. It gives me no pleasure to say this, but I drove my husband into an early grave.
Yes, I know. Sheila told me.
Yes, it's all right. It's quite true. It takes a tough man to handle the women in our family. I'm pleased to say that you've passed the test.
All right, I've calmed down now.
Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye.
I'm off.
I've just started boiling the cabbage.
Then you'd better eat it. I found out what I wanted to know. Oh, and by the way, there's a small favour I'd like to ask you before I go.
What?
I like this, you know.
Well, I can't back down now. I've made a promise.
Right, let's make a start, shall we, Drapes, please?
Would that be my mother's friend, by any chance?
Yes, all is well so far, but we'll keep you posted as we toil away for the next 2 to 3 minutes.
No, if you don't mind. We'd rather come in and keep an eye on things.
We?
Come in, Mother.
Right, now we're all here. Let's get on with it. And do put your mask up.